Yes. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Veterans Minimum, a very special episode, preview show. Euro 2020, Alan, even though it's 2021, it's going
We're still going by this marketing plan here.
very, very interesting marketing plan. But Alan is here in the building. We're going to talk a lot about Euro 2020. I'm probably going to call it 2021, 2020. I'll be flip-flopping back and
Yeah,
forth.
I'm just glad we have an international tournament. It's been 3 years. We're used to it every other summer. We had to wait a little longer this one, so I'm just grateful that it's almost here. A little bit of a weird dynamic being in 10 different cities, but the sport is always doing things that make you question it, but then you watch the tournament, it's like, okay, by day 5, I'm absolutely hooked on it, and next thing I know, I'm watching Austria, Ukraine, and my life depends on it.
Yeah, I end up watching all the games pretty much. It's a nice little layout, right? The games are starting 9 a.m. Eastern time, then it's noon, and then 3 p.m. Eastern time, which is a nice little spacing throughout. We kept talking on the last couple of episodes just briefly about how there seemed to be no buzz about the Euro Cup. And now I'm seeing more advertising for it. Do you think it's because all the seasons have ended now and the Champions League ended? Now it's guns blazing.
Yeah,
let's get
probably.
rocking.
Like I've noticed there's bars around New York with the flags are all up. So I think it was just a matter of time to build up ESPN. I've seen more commercials of it. And seen some of the traditional countries back in major tournament, Italy and Holland, not having those two countries involved in the last World Cup. It did diminish a little bit just from a popularity standpoint because those are two very historic countries when you look at all the major tournaments. So having them two back and just the fact that we're actually getting a major tournament because I think there's the layoff. It affects you because you're just accustomed to seeing a major tournament every 2 years, and like these 4 weeks are just gonna be chaos. And you see countries unite, crazy upsets, knockout stage, penalty shows. The end all be all. So the fact that we're finally getting it, I think it's finally hit, and seeing the likes of Italy and Netherlands back, it's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, two historically powerhouses in Europe. Though I do have a lot of, with every team, I did a lot of research on this one, bro.
Yeah.
With every team, I got the best finish that they've had at each Euro Cup throughout its history. I do want to mention a little bit of betting history for the Euro Cup. Do you know who the biggest underdog in Euro Cup history ever was?
You could answer this.
So I was talking to my dad today, right?
Yeah.
And Greece in 2004.
Did not qualify for this tournament, so this is where we're gonna get the mention.
Yeah, this is gonna be the only, but they are a former champion of Europe. It was in 2004. Remember, Greece also, Athens had the Olympics that year. So I asked my dad, I was like, "Yo, Pop, how come you didn't bet on Greece?" They were anywhere from 80 to 150 to 1. Consensus was 150 to 1, meaning $1 won you $150.
Yeah, this was the one that was 16 teams.
Yeah, this was 16 teams. And he goes, "Son, the Euro Cup was rigged for Greece to win it because we had the Olympics. That team sucked, but it was the happiest sports moment of my life." I was like, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, Greece, the biggest long shot underdog. Denmark in 92.
Yeah, man, I can't believe that.
Yeah, Schmeichel.
Legend.
Absolute legend, Man U legend too, a good legend, not like some of you guys that listen legends, and I'm a legend also as well. Spain was the betting favorite in 2012. Italy was the second favorite. That ended up being the final. Portugal in 2016, the last Euro Cup, 26 to 1 odds at the start of the tournament.
Wasn't a very good team at the time.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And then France was the second favorite behind Germany,
Host country.
at 4 to 1. France being the host country in 2016. So yeah, I mean, France won it in 2000. They were the favorites coming off a World Cup win in '98, and they won it as well. So yeah, some interesting betting history for the Euro Cup.
Yeah, and let's not forget, like, the start of Spain's dominance started at Euro 08. And Spain, I think, were known for being notorious underachievers at major tournaments. And for them to win in 08, then they won 2010, 2012. Like, that's where the dominance really began.
Yeah, in World Cup and Euro Cup history, that's never happened.
Right.
Winning 3 consecutive
Right.
major tournaments. There's a team who I think is on the cusp of doing something very similar. We'll get to them in a little bit.
Right.
I have a couple of general talking points for this. tournament setup. There's 24 teams. You mentioned how it was 16 teams. 6 groups of 4. Top 2 in each group advance. And then the 4 best third place teams advance. That makes up the 16. If you had to pick a country who suffered the most because of the COVID delay, who would you pick? I thought about this before. I apologize I didn't send you this.
That's a very good question.
It was a popping question, right? I have an answer. So do you want me to go first while you think about it?
Yeah,
Since
you go
I kind of
first.
put
Go
you on
first.
the spot.
Yeah, I gotta think about this.
So I think Belgium.
Okay,
I think Belgium suffered from there being COVID last year because that golden age that we've been waiting for Belgium the last couple of tournaments, and they've had some deep runs in tournaments. I think some of their best soccer is behind them, in particular Hazard. I think Hazard
played 14 games this year.
he's not the same guy, but then on the flip side, Carrasco goes back to Atletico and he helps them win La Liga.
Correct.
Lukaku's on fire coming into this one, but I do think that delay hurt them the most of any nation.
Because they're in the thick of their golden generation.
Right.
So
And now De Bruyne has the fractured orbital.
he's probably going to miss the first game. But group stage missing is not a big deal. But still, like, you want him fit.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would go with Belgium. I think they're the biggest losers.
I think one big one comes to mind immediately is Holland. I might go between Holland and Netherlands. I'm used to saying Holland, but I'm going to try to stick with Netherlands. But the big one being losing Van Dijk's huge loss. And Ronald Koeman was supposed to be there. And then he goes to Barcelona last summer. And all of a sudden, now they're going to Frank de Boer. And Frank de Boer has flopped in a lot of places. Like, he was hated in Atlanta United. He went to MLS at one point because he flopped at Inter, flopped at Crystal Palace. He goes to Atlanta United. He was not popular there one bit. So now he's back with the Netherlands national team, and they haven't quite looked the same. So,
And they got spanked by Turkey in qualifying.
Yes.
Which is also another dynamic, which I found very interesting.
oh, correct, March.
There was some qualifiers for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of the notes that I've gathered for this one and a lot of just like the things that I've heard is, oh, this team went undefeated in Euro qualifying. Dude, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's something you really need to take with a grain of salt. There's some teams on here that we're going to touch where, they scored 14 goals. This guy scored 10 goals in qualifying. And it's like, yeah, man, that's like 2 years ago.
Some of them made through a playoff. Like, it was just
Right.
COVID really, the layout would totally got disoriented. But if one comes to mind, it's Netherlands, just because Van Dijk to me is the best center back in the world. Koeman, even though he was kind of unpopular in Barcelona, he was building something really good with the Netherlands because after not qualifying in the previous World Cup, they actually won their Nations League group, and that group had France and Germany, and they beat France and being the world champions. I don't care what, if it's a competitive game, that's a big deal. And they were building something there, but Koeman got the dream offer at the Barcelona. He played for Barcelona. He had to take it. And then losing Van Dijk. I still think Netherlands, they're in a good position. I mean, they're in the weakest group. So
They of all the teams, they are the biggest favorite to advance to the next round.
Like, I think they got a great draw, but I worry about them going to knockout stage and how much they could really build on it, and just not having Van Dijk and Koeman. I think it's been a bit of an adjustment for them, and it hasn't been comfortable so far given the qualifying results.
The host cities have been paired off for the group stages. So Group A is going to have all their games in Baku and in Rome. I'll be honest with you. Do you know where Baku is?
Baku's in Azerbaijan, so Azerbaijan did not qualify.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice. I had no idea.
Did you think it was in Turkey?
No, but I probably would have guessed one of those countries eventually.
Right.
But yeah, shout out to Azerbaijan though, no disrespect. Group B, St. Petersburg and Copenhagen. Group C, Amsterdam and Bucharest. London and Glasgow.
Well, just to mention, Romania did not qualify, so Bucharest is kind of a neutral ground.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good point. Yes, good point.
Yeah.
London and Glasgow for Group D.
Yeah.
Sevilla and St. Petersburg again for Group E. Budapest and Munich for Group F.
St. Petersburg, Russia?
Yeah, St. Petersburg,
So,
Russia.
okay, so only
So they're
Spain's
gonna
really
have-
getting the advantage.
They're going to have two host cities in two different groups. In Group B and in Group E, St.
Hey,
Petersburg.
Russia did a fantastic job of hosting World Cup, so I'm not slandering Russia.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And then F is Germany and Hungary. They got games.
Yes, Budapest and in Munich.
Right.
Is there anything else that stands out to you from an overall Euro landscape heading into this tournament? Without like an overarching thing, right? 10 different host cities, I think is very intriguing.
Yeah. I think France and Portugal are the two best teams in Europe, so I'm interested to see how they fare playing away matches. So even though Hungary is obviously, talent-wise, they are fourth. They're going to be struggling, but just to see how France and Portugal potentially faces just diversity of it, and against a rebuilding Germany squad as well. I have high expectations for both countries, but playing in front of live fans, I'm going to see how the players react because we haven't really seen much of it. Looking back the club season.
Yeah, it seems like Spain and Germany and even Italy to a certain extent are going through a transition of a lot of youth coming in for those programs, and those are three like powers,
Yeah, well, and they've fallen. I want to say fallen. Well, Italy, yes, have obviously fallen on hard times, and Germany to an extent. But like you look at how they've all underachieved. Like Italy not qualifying, Germany blasted out of the group stage, Spain losing to Russia on penalties. Like these are three countries that are expected to be competing quarterfinals, semifinals, finals, and for them to not even be anywhere near it, there's going to be major changes. Like these three countries are built on excellence. They're built on having a strong infrastructure, and it's kind of been diminished over the past few years. So I think that's why you're seeing a big revamp.
Is the Euro Cup harder to win than the World Cup?
No, I don't think so.
I think it is.
I like to hear your point.
There are more dominant powerhouse teams in Europe than there are internationally. Like realistically, it's Argentina and Brazil.
But you still Uruguay's really built themselves up.
Fair.
Same goes for Colombia. And then Japan was beating Belgium 2-0. And Belgium had that crazy comeback.
Yeah.
So I still think international. There's things that there's countries there that provide, I guess, more of a different challenge. We talk about South American teams. Some are very stout defensively. Like you've seen Uruguay. They are just very physical, very rigid. So you have that, and then you have the flair of a Brazil, Argentina. You never know what the African teams could bring, even though I know they underwhelmed at the last World Cup. So I still think there's different dynamics. And we got to include Mexico as well. Mexico always presents a tough challenge.
And I mean the future 2026 World Cup champions of the United States.
Right. Which
Pulisic, we're repping here.
I'm going on recency, but nevertheless, yes. Let's look at 2022, even though that is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I'm kind of skipping past that one. But, all right, dude. I'm ready to jump into Group A.
Yes.
I want to point out that with each group, we are going to be using the DraftKings Sportsbook. So all the odds that are going to be referenced are going to be from the DraftKings Sportsbook. If you guys want to degen the way I'm going to be degenning a lot, Alan. I mean, I know you don't like to dabble, but I'll be doing the dabbling for you.
I do love me some DraftKings, though. DFS.
Okay.
Because I'm a nerd with the...